Will begin shortly. We are just going to give folks a moment or two to get into the Zoom room with us today. So just hold tight, everybody, and feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself to your fellow webinar attendees. Okay, it looks like we've got a good group of us here now. So let's go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. We're really thrilled to welcome you to our webinar today on redesigning the cooperative governance experience for inclusive economies. We have an incredible lineup of women here with us today as we close out Women's History Month with this really great and engaging discussion. So thank you for being here. My name is Liz, and I'm just going to run through a few housekeeping items before we get started this morning. So first things first, today's webinar is scheduled for an hour, and we are reserving time at the end for Q&A. We'll have about 15 minutes or so for audience engagement. So we definitely encourage you to use the chat, use the Q&A. We have a team here that will be monitoring that conversation, and we'll do our best to get to your questions in that last 15 minutes or so. Next up, this webinar is being recorded, so this will be available to you later this week. Keep an eye out in your inbox for that recording, and you're of course welcome to share that with your networks as well. And with that said, it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator, LaDonna Sanders Redmond. LaDonna is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Consultant with Columinate, and she is the former Diversity and Community Engagement Manager for Seward Community Co-op. And last but not least, she is also a member of NCBA CLUSA's Board of Directors. We are thrilled to have you with us today, LaDonna. Thank you for being here, and thank you for guiding us through this discussion.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank all the staff at NCBA CLUSA for organizing this and putting it on. And of course, I'd like to say thank you to our panelists today. I am not going to really tell you a whole lot about me. I'm sure you've got my bio. I just want to really introduce you to the women who are going to be on our panel today. First up, I am going to go to Samira, and just introduce yourself, Samira, and tell us where you're from and the work that you do.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to NCBA CLUSA for making this opportunity possible. I'm super excited about this conversation with this group of amazing women from around the world, quite frankly. So that's, we don't always have that opportunity to do these sort of international conversations. So this is particularly exciting. My name is Samira Salem. I am the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the Credit Union National Association, or CUNA, as I'll probably refer to it. I'm also on the board of Summit Credit Union, which is based in Madison, Wisconsin. I am a political economist by training. And LaDonna, I can go into some of my background and career journey, or I can stop there if you'd like to save that for a little bit later.
Just for a little bit later.
Okay.
Just want to get everybody's voice in the discussion, and then we're going to come back and get deep into what we do and how we ended up where we are. So with that, I'm going to move on to Ruth. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, Ruth has not been able to join us yet. Renee.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me as well. I'm always excited whenever I can be on a panel with extraordinary women, and that's what we are today, a group of extraordinary women. So, LaDonna, thank you for leading this session. I am Renee Sattiewhite. I am the President and CEO of the ACUC. I'm also the possibility of people serving other people passionately. I'll say that again. I'm the possibility of people serving other people passionately. And so at ACUC, I am responsible for executing the vision of the Board of Directors, and that's me in a nutshell, LaDonna.
Oh, I appreciate that. The possibility of serving the people. You're gonna have to say that one more time.
Possibility of people serving other people passionately.
Possibility of other people serving people passionately. I'm gonna get it by the time we are done with this workshop. I love that. I want to make sure that we take some time though to just acknowledge the land that we stand on. We are being joined by people from all over North America and the United States, and one of our panelists is on the continent of Africa. And wherever we stand on land. In the United States, I am in Minnesota. I stand on the traditional land of the Dakota people, and it is also home to the Ojibwe and the Ho-Chunk and Cheyenne, and many other indigenous nations. I call forward this conversation because it's important to acknowledge the history of the indigenous people on the land of the United States, and understand that this land is contested, that we are still reckoning with the issues of genocide, ethnic cleansing, and the forced removal of indigenous people from their land. And we still want to remember them, not just in the travesty of everything that has happened to them, but in the victory, in that they are still here and they are still celebrated, but yet ignored and missing from many conversations. So at this point, I just want to recognize that indigenous people still live under oppression and colonialism, and that indigenous people also must be remembered, celebrated, and uplifted. I also stand on the shoulders of my own ancestors, the Africans who were taken, kidnapped from Africa and forced to come to the United States and work for free. The equation that I often bring forward is that the stolen labor and stolen land has created an inequitable economic system that we know as capitalism. And while we are here and working hard on how to create economic self-sufficiency for folks, we also have to recognize that we have this legacy that has to be addressed at some point in our system. So it's not enough to just talk about it. We got to be about it. And one of the ways that we are being about it is dealing with cooperatives. All right. So Ruth has joined us. Yay. Ruth, please step in, come on into the conversation and introduce yourself. We just did really brief introductions. So tell us, of course, tell us your name. I just gave them your first name, but where you are, what you do, and what your role is in your cooperative. Someone's going to have to, you got to unmute yourself. Ruth.
Can you hear me now?
I can. That is fantastic. Yay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's evening here, but I'm happy that God has given me this opportunity to finally meet with you in this very exciting moment. My name is Ruth Jelimo Kosgei. First and foremost, let me thank God. You know, it was a challenge to connect, but finally I'm here. So I'm so happy and I really thank God for that. So I come from Kenya, a place known as Nandi, the source of champions. As we run very fast, so I come from Nandi. And I'm happy to be part of this meeting today. So that's my brief introduction. What I do in the cooperative society, I am a treasurer in the cooperative society. I actually check on the finances of the cooperative. And I also represent an advocate for women to join the cooperative, and also to be members and to participate in the cooperative. So I've really done a lot, and all this I've done because I've been helped a lot by NCBA CLUSA Kenya. That's my sister Lydia who has done it, so I'm so happy. Yeah.
Well, we're really grateful to have you join us today. And the way we're going to have our questions and share our thoughts is that I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to share your work in about 3 minutes. And Lydia, in this stack, you'll be the last person, and you'll get a chance to share some of the photos that you have already sent forward to us. So we're looking forward to that. So we're going to start off with Samira.
Could you repeat the question, please, LaDonna?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even say the question. The question was how you have guided your career to cooperative governance and leadership, and what or who has inspired you?
Yeah, fantastic question. So I am, a first in my family in a lot of different ways. First to go to college, first I actually got a PhD in political economy and public policy. First to work in a professional corporate setting and co-ops. And so for me, I started off doing international economic development. It was a passion of mine. Both of my parents are immigrants. And I had the opportunity to travel to Guatemala, which is where my mother is from, and Egypt, which is where my father is from, and visit family and see other ways of living and being, and seeing inequality on another scale that I had never seen living and growing up in the United States. So for me, questions of inequality and issues of economic and social justice and fairness were basically things that I thought about and was faced with from a very young age. And for some reason, they kind of burrowed themselves into my heart. And I knew that I needed to use my head to try and figure out how to make things better with my time on this earth. So my career has always been about following my passion. I started in international development, as I said, and I ended up working focused on community development in the US. The theme has always been economic and social justice, thinking about issues of inequality and so forth, and ended up working on issues of racial equity in Wisconsin, and eventually found myself in the co-op world. And it was like a religious experience for me, because I was, the cooperative principles, they all just saying to me in terms of, alignment with my values and who I am and how I want to live my life professionally and personally. So that was inspiration is from the marrow of my bones and who I am, and just, finding my place in the co-op movement has been a beautiful thing for me.
I'm going to have to remember to unmute myself before I start talking. I love the line cooperatives as religious experiences. That could be the name of a great book. Renee, to you.
Wow. So my career, right? I started off in the banking world, but I'm a reformed banker. And City National Bank was not just any bank. It was a bank of the stars. And so in that vein of working with extraordinary superstars, the switch to credit union land was phenomenal in terms of it's still about service. As I said earlier, on the possibility of people serving other people passionately. And so I really learned that at that institution about being of service. I think I innately have that, and then to get more tools was really, really great. So I fell in love with helping people. I'm not a real good numbers person. I'm a word girl. And so I like to talk a lot and like to do a lot of training. So I have been a nonprofit 501c3 board governance trainer. So it lends itself to the co-op system. I've been training board development for over 30 years now. And so that gets me, that lights me up, because for me, board service, and LaDonna, thank you for being a board member of this wonderful organization. Board service lights me up. I think it's the most important thing you can do with your time as a professional, is to help lead and guide an organization so that they're fulfilling on the mission of helping their community. So that's a soapbox. I won't get started on that. But as far as the intentionality of my career, I don't think there was any intention. I think that situations rolled up. I've been an entrepreneur for the training company for about 20 years now. And doing that in conjunction with working with credit unions throughout the United States and Canada, and now in the continent with the COSCA. So I'm real excited about what we're all doing as a movement. So a little background on me.
And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Reformed banker. Oh, wow. We got some reformed bankers. We got cooperatives and experiences. I'm just enthusiastic about what we'll have next. I'm just going to interject just a little bit about me before we hand it over to Ruth. As you know, my name is LaDonna Sanders Redmond. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And, you know, I kind of relate to what Renee was just saying. I don't know that I had any intentions to come to cooperatives. I think cooperatives found me, and they found me through a number of different ways. I've always probably believed more in the cooperative spirit. My own background is basically in community organizing. I've been a community organizer most of my life, and I've organized around a variety of issues, which have always included women's issues, whether we've been talking about reproductive justice in Chicago or talking about substance abuse treatment. Always really finding the importance of voice, and of those who don't often get a chance to speak, having an opportunity to share not just their story, but share their power, and being able to, you know, chart paths for themselves. So most of my life, I've ran some type of nonprofit, whether it was a women's treatment center or a nonprofit working on violence prevention and youth intervention, things like that. What got me into food, though, wasn't what I planned. And so most of my career hasn't been what I planned. I ended up getting married, having a child who had food allergies. And he had such severe food allergies that it was difficult to find food for him on the west side of Chicago. And I began, my husband and I, began to convert vacant lots to urban farm sites in the late 90s. And then, yeah, it was a long time ago. It was still during the time when people looked at me like I had a third head when I said I wanted to grow food in the city. And I'm so grateful now that that is just a part of the conversation around how to grow food, grow your own food. And we were able to do that in Star Farmers Markets. And we looked at developing a cooperative grocery store on the west side of Chicago. We worked with, it's now closed, but the Hyde Park Co-op was our sponsor. So I learned a lot about co-ops. I even bagged groceries at that co-op so that I could figure out what in the world we were talking about. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I didn't have enough understanding of what co-ops were. And so one of the goals that I want to make sure that we're able to do as cooperators now is to talk with people about what does it mean to cooperate. Because the co-op grocery store idea was flatly rejected by our community. And I'm not ashamed to say it. And it was because we didn't understand it. People felt like it was some way of talking down to them or making them do something they didn't want to do. And that's not cooperation at all. But I didn't have the language for that. And so we left that idea. Years and years went by. I find myself in Minneapolis doing what? Helping somebody build a grocery store, a cooperative in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that is basically the short story of my claim to be here. I believe in every community has the intellect to heal themselves, and that I am a facilitator of that. So I like to facilitate processes that have people be seen and heard and get the things that they most want for their community. So that is me. And I will turn it over to Ruth at this point. Oh, wait, one more thing. I have to say it before I turn to Ruth. The person who has inspired me along my path was Wanjari Maathai, who is from Kenya. I loved her, and I still love her. And I read her book, Unbowed, and it was all about being a woman who was a change maker. And that's what this panel is all about. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ruth.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, and we can see you now too.
Yeah, sorry for that. I have a problem with the network here. So there's lots of rains here, and it's like the network is a little bit down. But however, I'm happy that you can hear me. So my profession, my area of expertise is marketing. I went to Eldoret Polytechnic. That's the first institution that I went. I just felt like, you know, when I was a young girl, I used to love beauty products. And I said, when I grow up, I should go to a college that is offering courses on sales and marketing so that I can sell. Yeah, so that was when I was young, and you know, when I grew up, after my primary school, I went to high school, and then I went to college. And when I was in my marketing class, I used to, you know, to love, you know, doing modeling. Although I was not very beautiful those days, but that is what I loved. So when I came out of college, to the contrary, I just found myself working with an insurance firm in my town, that is Eldoret. So I worked to the insurance firm selling policies, but I found myself I was not in the right place. So whenever I sell policies, you know, it has a lot of challenges because these are hard things to sell. So I could not make it. So I gave myself some time, 1.5 years, God opened a way, and I went to a farm which is selling food products. And it really excited me on how these products were branded. That is, it is the local name, it is called Unga. So, you know, it has some pictures. So I found myself at least I was in the right place. However, I didn't stop there. Back home, my mother was aging, and she's now resting in peace, maybe to say. So when she was aging, she told me, can you do something that at the end of the day, you'll be home so that I'm not alone. So I heard about it, and what I chose is to be there for Mama. So I decided to do dairy farming. So in the process, when I took my milk to sell, milk was just sold in the road. And that is why today we have Lelchego. Lelchego in the local language means pure milk. So I said, can we take this milk to a particular place where you can have a small shed, where we can have this milk collected from the farmers? And since those people who are in leadership in that a small group were only men, and not even men alone, these were older men. They could not listen to me. So my work started there. I said, because I am a young lady that time, I said it will not stop there. I'll make sure that I'll mobilize women so that we come together. And yeah, you can even look at that picture. Those are very old men, and this is a world that is dominated by them. So I said, let me not stop there. I mobilized 3 women. We came together and we sold milk together. Although the process was very tricky, because those days the processors used to buy milk with very little money. I can say Kenyan shillings 17, which are actually, you cannot even buy anything that time. So I prayed to God, and as we continued, those people saw the need of bringing me to leadership. So we had the first election, and that was the year 2005. So from there, God gave me the strength. The rest of the women were scared, but God gave me the strength. And I now started, speaking to women, encouraging them, having small meetings in our own way. And there are so many challenges, because financially, I had left my other job, which I was earning money, and I'm now coming to a small business where I have to wait until the end of the month so that I get some few points to help do other things. So when we started Lelchego, people were excited that now we are looking into the milk quality. And, women are participating, although in a small way. Some of them were even shy. They could not even speak in the meetings. But I came out strongly, because that was me. And here I am today. I really thank God. It was not easy. And I'm coming out strongly. Like the lady, my sister, LaDonna has said, we have strong women who are role models anyway. Like Wangari Maathai, whenever she spoke, you could really see a woman, with a very strong passion of what she was doing. So I also came out strongly despite the challenges, and God has really helped me out. And now I'm respected in the society. Looking at those pictures, that is Ruth. That is that tiny girl who really feared telling lies in the insurance world. But here I'm telling the truth, because God has helped us. I can say how God is a Vanessa, because this far He has really helped us. And I'm coming out strongly. I've never stopped. Women are still shy. We need to do a lot. And thank you so much, NCBA CLUSA, for this, because I know I live to tell a story. It has not been easy. And I'm happy that today I'm meeting women, not only women, but strong women will even challenge me more to move forward. Thank you so much, and God bless me. That is Ruth. That is my small introduction. Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. And I know I speak for NCBA CLUSA staff, as well as our members and the people who are joining us on the webinar today. We thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We know that timing is everything. It may be, I don't know what time it is in Kenya, but I know that it's probably a lot of coordinating on your end to be a part of this particular conversation. And I think it's important that you're a part of this conversation, because as we talk about a time of xenophobia, oftentimes in the United States, we find ourselves talking specifically about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which was a part of my title. It's a part of Samira's title. And we use it a lot as a shorthand, to talk about inclusion. But I think we have to actually also practice a form of inclusion that brings us all closer together. And I am very excited about cooperation as it is interpreted on the continent of Africa. I'm very familiar with it on the continent of North America, and I'm in school learning about it in terms of Europe. So
Right.
I have very selfish reasons for wanting to pull this kind of panel together. So, but with that, I want to take us into this whole idea around governance. Renee mentioned in her opening that, you know, governance was a really, really important aspect of cooperation. So I'm going to go to Renee first to talk about, you know, what are some of the cooperative governance trends you've observed over your career, especially these last few years, given that we've been in COVID and are sort of in an emerging way of being and working. And there's also a question in the chat, so maybe just weave this in. How would you define the purpose of governance? And then we'll go to, okay.
The purpose of governance is to ensure that the organization is run well, that the mission of the organization is followed, that the community is being served in such a way that it's impactful. We talk about return on investment. Return on investment for-profit organizations is money, but when it comes to cooperatives and nonprofits, it's about service. Where are you serving? Who are you serving? And how are you serving? And so that's the nutshell for board governance. Why is it important? It's important because without well-run organizations, our whole existence as people is for naught, because you've got to have systems in place that really push the civilization forward. So from a standpoint, the cooperatives are the best way to go because you're working with people for a greater good. So that's my short answer to that very terrific question.
It's a fantastic question. Samira.
In terms of the trends that we've been seeing, and I'm going to be speaking from the perspective of credit unions, where, you know, we don't have as much data as we would like, but we have been gathering data around, for example, diverse leadership, including boards, because we want to move the needle in this space. We know that our organizations are stronger, they're better if we reflect, you know, from the tellers to our leadership in the credit unions. If we reflect the communities that we're serving, we will better understand them. So we're looking into measuring what do credit unions look like, you know, when it comes to leadership. So we do have some data on boards, and what we found, CUNA released a study last year that found that 33% of credit union board members are women. And, you know, that is fairly significant, and especially if you put it in the context of banks, which, you know, we're financial institutions, so it's credit unions, banks, and other similar financial institutions. But we found that only 16% of bank boards, you know, have only 16% of bank board members are women. So for credit unions, it's nearly double or more than double the percentage, and so that's significant, and I think that's important. We also know that we can do better, and we should do better. You know, half of our population are women, and so we should do better when it comes to gender diversity. We have not been able to look at non-binary, so we're talking about binary gender, and we're also having a hard time getting a better grip on race and ethnicity when it comes to board diversity, because we also know that that's absolutely critical. There are so many dimensions of diversity that we need to be tracking. Looking at our board composition, it is typically older white male, with the exception of, you know, what I indicated, that we are having some success when it comes to women on boards. So, you know, I think, and Renee can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a lot of momentum in the credit union movement when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. There is an understanding that we need to do better, do more. And I see the trend moving in a positive direction. And we see this as being really important for our governance. And there is a lot of research that shows that boards that have higher levels of gender representation actually are more effective. They do better. And so, this is not just for the sake of being more diverse, but there's also a business reason for doing this as well. And it aligns beautifully with the values of cooperatives. So I see the trend moving in the right direction, but we do have more work to do.
Mm-hmm. Ruth. You gotta unmute yourself. If anyone has questions, please put them in the Q&A. I know I saw a question in chat, but I can't find it. So if you want to ask your question, please put it in the Q&A. Go ahead, Ruth.
Okay, to me, governance is actually, it's being in leadership. It's actually being able to give opinion on how to run the cooperative. So when I came in as a member of the group, you look at whenever they do an election, it's only the old men who want to take lead in leadership. And to me, or diversified leadership, because the way I look at it in my society, in my culture, people take governance or even leadership to, something that is only belongs to men, that women should just remain in the kitchen, should just remain with the children back home and even take care of the animals. But to me, it is something that is inclusive, because at the end of the day, these older men, they don't even share. Whenever they go to meetings, when they go back home, whenever you get even at least one or two women cooperatives anyway. So to me, it is actually women, whenever they get information, it doesn't rest with them. They always love sharing, because that is our way of doing things anyway. So the way I look at it is that those positions can equally be shared by men, women, and youth. Because all of them are able. So the way I look at it, when I went to the board, I equally contribute like them, so I don't see any difference. And it's only that at times they are biased, because they would want us to just be there, seated there, you don't contribute, you to do the prayers, and maybe to end the meetings by serving them tea. So my perception on governance and leadership, I look at it this way, that what I've observed over these few years that I've been in Lelchego is that women are very, they also contribute a lot when it comes to leadership. Because one, there are people who really, their minds are broad, they look at things differently, and they want to pad whatever the cooperative gets. They are very keen in guarding what the cooperative has earned over the time. But anyway, I'm not against men, but they would want to spend and maybe hope that something else will happen tomorrow. So as we are very good when it comes to saving what the cooperative has earned, and even going forward, we have a vision and a mission for the cooperative. And for Lelchego, I'm happy that I'm one of the vision bearers.
Thank you. One of the things that is, I think, important to acknowledge, one, I think I agree with everything that I've heard around governance. And it's been my experience, I guess maybe in the area of cooperation that I'm in, which is mainly with food organizations or natural food companies, is that they are really beginning their journey around how to be more inclusive in terms of their governance. And what does inclusivity look like from community to community? It's not the same everywhere. And so really developing a nuanced strategy around how to be more inclusive. And now this really comes down to the aspect of, for me, of what governance is, which is doing the will of the members, right? And being able to represent the members without going into little silos or agendas that don't serve the membership as a whole. So the guiding, visioning purpose of those people who are elected is to really put into place the roadmap to serve the owners of the co-op, and serve it with the purpose, of course, of supporting community. Now, maybe not all there's lots of ways to cooperate, and maybe not all cooperatives think that broadly, but I definitely think perhaps they should. On Seward Co-op's board, where I'm a member, it is mainly a board of women of color. We have Afro-Latinas, we have Indigenous women, we have a combination of people representing various sexual orientations and gender identities. And it's a fascinating board because this board was elected by its owners, who might be primarily white, and many are middle class. I wouldn't say so much upper middle class, but working class folks who started a co-op 50 years ago. And so there's something that's shifting and changing. I don't know that we can always put our hands or fingers on it, but there's something that people are aspiring to be, and the way that they're actually doing it in Minneapolis at Seward Co-op is through the election of women of color to the board. What's that has changed on our board is the way that we govern and how we actually use our processes in ways that are not stifling for us. I think I'm getting a lot of background, so if your mic is not, if your mic is open, please mute yourself. Thank you. So what I was trying to say was that the way that governance is held can sometimes be stifling. And I think as our board has learned is that we can govern the way that we need to govern, still hold the reins of the membership and the enterprise, but also make it more conducive to the people that we are. And so that's caused us to really look at our practices, our policies, and our bylaws specifically to understand how we can be more inclusive, even though we are women of color. So that kind of takes us into a question that is in the chat, which talks about how we integrate. People have all kinds of initials. This one is EDI, DEI, Jedi, every kind of way you want to think about inclusion. And the question here is how do you motivate people to participate? But I think we kind of are getting at that question. So with the next question, integrate that, how we get people to participate in DEI work at the board level, but also talk about some of the other challenges and opportunities that you've seen in terms of improving practices and structures around cooperative governance. And I'm going to start with the person that just ended, which was Ruth. All right, I think Ruth might be having some challenges. Yeah, all right. So I'm gonna go to Renee.
We started?
Oh, wait, you're back. Okay, cool. Go ahead, Ruth.
Yeah. Can you repeat that question again, please?
Oh, absolutely. So we were talking about, basically, we were talking about this thing that's very, I think, specific again to the United States, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. but you've talked about it through the lens of engaging women in the cooperative. And so this question of how did you get people to motivate to participate is important. And what are some of the other challenges and opportunities you see in terms of improving cooperatives and enhancing more diversity, getting more people involved?
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, despite all that we've done, despite of all that I've done in Lelchego, there are these challenges. And number one, outside the culture. You know, in my culture, you know, women are seen as a property to men, you know, the children, the assets, you know, all these other things belongs to men. So whenever you are in leadership, you know, I mean, sorry, whenever you want to be a leader, they look at you as, you know, they belittle you. First of all, they ask, which clan do you come from? Which family? I mean, who are you? Are you married? Are you know, all those things because of culture. So it is a challenge because after asking all this, they can even say you are not fit for the leadership. So so that one alone is a challenge. And number two is lack of confidence. Imagine you can be told all this that you know, we don't even know your clan, we don't even know your family. Maybe your family is, you know, maybe it's not that kind of a thing. And whenever you are told all this, you are not even confident. So somebody when you're denied, you know, when you're denied this opportunity, then you shy off. So you don't have that confidence. And when you look at many women, they lack self-esteem. They cannot come out strongly to speak because back home, they don't have a lot of support from these men. And you can imagine somebody who has been working all around the clock. And at the end of the day, whenever somebody comes home, they just ask as if, you know, you're just one of the kids around. You're not given that strong recognition as a woman who's been working all this time. You know, you can imagine taking care of the kids.
Ruth, we're having a hard time hearing you. Maybe if you shut off I love looking at you, but maybe if you turn off the camera, you'll have more bandwidth and we'll be able to hear you.
Fetching water for them. Not even sleep. You're breastfeeding the kid, and the opportunity to also come out and learn, like.
Yeah, just a couple of technical difficulties.
Yeah. So is that okay now?
Okay, good.
Can you? Yeah.
We can hear you. You know.
So I was saying that.
Ruth, maybe if you turn off your camera, I love seeing you, and this is like hurting my heart to say it, but I want to hear you too. Maybe turn off your camera, and that'll give you a little bit more bandwidth, because on our end, it's hard to understand what you're saying.
Oh, so can I turn off my camera now?
Yes, if you could, that might work. Thank you.
So, yeah. So I was saying that women in African society have a lot of roles to play, and they don't even have time to get educated in terms of, you know, leadership. Can you hear that?
Yes, you sound great.
Yeah, so I was saying that there's a lot of problem when it comes now to, you know, them, they not even getting enough time to attend trainings. It's only the men who go for trainings, they go for workshops, they go for demonstrations. But the same women are supposed to take the lead when it comes to taking care of the animals, when it comes to, doing the best practices when it comes to dairy, for my case now in Lelchego. So it is really a challenge, and whenever you want to improve the diversification, these are the people who have been left out. So I strongly feel that, if these women are given an opportunity, they can come out strongly. So the other challenge is that women are charged harshly. If they are taking her as a nobody. When you make a small mistake, and the way men will answer you, it's horrible. So that one also gives them not to have confidence on what they are saying. And the last one maybe is that women don't own property at any time, because these men believe, all the property belongs to them. They believe the animals belongs to them, even the small assets, and even the accounts. When after selling milk, for example, to the cooperative, they are the men who get the income from that milk proceeds. So you get women give labor, but when it comes to now getting the income, it goes directly to the men's account. And it is a challenge. However, there is a lot of opportunity when it comes now to looking at it this way, that we can bring out those challenges and make opportunities out of them. And maybe if you'll give me time, I can talk about the opportunities, so that I just clear that part. Can I continue?
Let's get Renee and Samira in here, because we only got about 7 minutes left. This hour has just flown by. So yeah, so we're gonna wrap up in about a minute, but I wanted to get Renee and Samira in here too. But thank you so much for everything that you've said so far. Renee?
I just, we don't have a whole lot of time left. I want to encourage women to use your voice when you're on the board of directors. When you're there because you have something to bring to the table, your value, your intellect, your background, whatever that is, bring your whole self to that role. Board governance is key. It's important that if you have an opinion, you share your opinion. Yes, sometimes it's better to wait and hear everything out, which is great, but make sure that if you have an opinion about an issue when you guys are making decisions when you're in your board of directors meeting, that you speak up, especially if you know that something is against the bylaws or the mission of the organization itself. Speak up. That's what I have for you. Speak up, speak up, speak up, speak loud.
You were elected. Speak up. Yes, Samira.
I wholeheartedly agree with what Renee said. And sometimes as the only woman of color or one of just a couple, it can feel hard because you feel like the squeaky wheel, or you feel like you constantly have a contrarian perspective, but the perspective is important. You're there for a reason. And, especially if it's coming from an authentic place, right? So I completely agree with Renee. Some of the challenges that we see, and I have to say, I would love an opportunity to hear about the opportunities that Ruth was talking about, because it's, some of the challenges that she's facing are just another level to what we face here in the US. So just love and support, Ruth, for all the work that you're doing and the difference that you're making in the lives of your community members. So solidarity from the US, but just some of the things that kind of made me think of some of the challenges that we face as women board members. I was on a board previous to the one I'm on right now, and I had a young child, and the only reason I was able to do it was because they allowed me to bring my daughter to the board meetings. And, you know, we had a separate room for her, and she could sit there with her coloring, and I could check in on her every once in a while. There was somebody there to provide childcare for them, right? And snacks and that sort of thing. That's important. We need to think about, if we want more diverse boards, if we want more women on boards, if we want more, you know, youth, young people on board, we need to think about doing it differently, right? It can't be business as usual. We need to think about, what can we do to welcome these folks, to ensure that they belong, they feel like they belong, and to provide them with sort of the guidance and the onboarding they need to be as effective as they possibly can. Like, you know, I was a first even on being on a board, and that was super important to me, so that I could feel comfortable knowing when to speak up and speaking up effectively. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do.
Indeed, we do. So in our final 3 minutes here, I'm just going to give everybody the opportunity to say goodbye to our wonderful visitors with us, our contributors, and definitely I want to thank our panelists for joining us today. Especially Ruth, you know, my kudos out to you. Just really, I think solidarity is so important across any kind of borders that are artificially made or geographically made. So I hope you feel welcome here. I look forward to meeting you soon. As I do, I have not met Renee and Samira either. So and they live in the same country. So I have some work cut out for me in terms of my travels. Any closing thoughts? Any goodbyes? Ruth? I'm gonna have to move kind of quickly here. Renee, final thoughts?
Just say thank you, LaDonna. It was a pleasure being on this panel. Always a treat to be anywhere near Samira, who is phenomenal. If you ever get an opportunity to listen to her, she can give you the facts like nobody's business and make it easy for you to understand. Just women and men as well. Those who support us women, we appreciate you. And just make it a great day.
Thank you. Samira?
You know, Renee, the feeling is more than mutual. LaDonna, I can't wait to meet you, and Ruth the same. Hopefully we do have an opportunity to all get together. This was a fantastic conversation. And yeah, you know, we need to speak up, we need to do more, and we need to do better. I am quoting Renee Sattiewhite here. That is her saying. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And Ruth?
Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, I've been having some few challenges here, but I want to say thank you so much. It has been a wonderful time. You know, since that time that CLUSA gave me the opportunity to, it was my first time to do some online meetings like the way I'm doing now. I come from a humble background, but however, God has given me the light through NCBA CLUSA. I'm so happy. And I wish my people back home here could see me sharing a lot about my culture. But, you know, I come from a wonderful country full of culture. Next time you'll see me dressed and you come and see me learn. So welcome everyone, Kenya. Kenya is a good country. So thank you so much. Let's come out strongly and support the leadership in women. Women are good people. Women are people who given up. They can do wonders, and these are people. Whenever you give them leadership, you know the process. The cooperatives are safe, and we are out there to to stand and come out strongly. So whenever we have International Women's Day, I look so beautiful and I represent those women. That is the time women stand and testify the good things that have happened during my time. So thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank everybody. And like Harriet Tubman said, keep going. No matter what's coming at you, keep going. You know, you hear the
Sure.
dog barking, keep going.
Sure.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
I thank my sister Lydia for giving me the opportunity. There was a challenge of connectivity, but she's just seated beside me, and I'm really happy for her. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
You are so welcome. And thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, it's almost 7 in the evening, yes. So thank you. You can tell me some good night because thank you so much. Yeah.
Good night, Ruth.
Good night. Good. I don't know. It's still morning there, so thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Yeah. Thank you. See you soon.
Goodbye.